Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and ed tech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast, episode number 131. And today I am with my co-host Sue, and we are celebrating what is, what was, what could be, what could have been, and we're looking towards the future of all things that has happened in the last year as we celebrate one official year of this pandemic. Sue, how are you today? Welcome to the show.
I am great, but is it spring break yet?
It is spring break. As we speak, I am on spring break, and as we are actually recording this, it was 70 degrees today, so I'm looking forward to that. Still snow in my backyard, but it was 70 degrees today in Connecticut. It was a really nice day. How are you doing?
Okay, we have about 2 more weeks till spring break, but we are getting some 70 degrees. My husband and I planted seeds the other day, and they're starting to sprout up, so we're so excited and can't wait till the freezing goes away so we can actually put them into the ground.
There are a lot of great things happening this week. Of course, we are interested in learning more about NCCE, and the NCCE conference is happening this week, March 17th through 20th. I've got 2 great presentations on Saturday. Also this week is the Q conference, and I had a fun time on Sunday of this week presenting our podcast. We are part of Podcasters Row on Sunday, and we had a little presentation of Ask the Tech Coach and all the great stuff happening over on TeacherCast. And later, Thursday night at 8 o'clock, I believe, we're doing another tech coaching presentation for Q. And Sue, this Saturday, I'm really excited that I'm going to give my next keynote address to the MeTech conference. Lots of things happening here. Yeah. And, you know, Sue, this conference is going to be really interesting because it is my first New Jersey conference since moving to Connecticut. I'm really excited about seeing everybody. And of course, it is a virtual conference. You will be able to check out all the links if you follow us on Twitter at TeacherCast or at Ask the Tech Coach. So it is that time. I know we're not done yet. There's still a lot left to go. I'm happy to share. I've had my second shot, and it was a doozy. Yesterday, it was not a fun afternoon. I will just say that. I won't go into all the details, but yesterday, the day after the shot, was not fun and exciting at all. But you know what? It is still feeling like something is happening. How's everything down in Kentucky with you guys?
It's going great. Many of our educators have been vaccinated through their second shot, opening it up to more of the population. So good things happening. So far, so good. And, you know, we're riding it out. And can you believe it has been a year since all of this has happened? My goodness.
I look back on the year, and, you know, if you're listening, let us know that you're out there. Find us on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach. Visit us over at AskTheTechCoach.com. Check out all the archives. And please do me a favor, guys. Share this with your friends. We have a great audience, a loyal audience, a fantastic audience. But I'm still, taken aback by how many tech coaches yet haven't heard from us or haven't heard about us yet. And we've been doing this now for 131 episodes. Please share Ask the Tech Coach with your coaching buddies or with your coaching networks, statewide, worldwide. Lots of great stuff happening there. And Sue, it has been a year. You know, last week we got together on our Wednesday night for our Tech Coach Roundtable meeting as part of our Tech Coach Network. And we celebrated a year of doing those meetings. And we mentioned in the email I sent out, we're celebrating, but also we're kind of not celebrating. Like I didn't expect to have a year full of Tech Coach meetings. Not that I don't have fun doing them, not that they're fun to do. It's been great getting to know each other, but Sue, it's been a year. What's been going on?
Oh my goodness. I remember when all of this went down. We were in the middle of our state tech conference, KISTE, Kentucky Society for Technology and Education. Literally every tech coach in Kentucky was together in Louisville. And the news was starting to come out. It started on a Wednesday. We had a normal day, went through Thursday, somewhat of a normal day. By Thursday afternoon, I was presenting, and we get a message through the conference app saying, closing ceremony is going to happen in an hour, and we're all going to go home early so we can go see what our districts are doing, because every one of us were getting all of these messages from our superintendents and principals of we need to close down school. At that point, we need to close down school for 2 weeks. And then I go home that night, get on a conference call, and we closed down school for 2 weeks. Then it turned into a month. It turned into after spring break. It turned into summer. And now here we are.
Now here we are indeed, right? And I remember last year doing the broadcasts with our middle school, and we had the principal came on one day and said, hey, we're changing things a little bit. And then it was, hey, we're changing things a little bit more. And then it's, hey, I'll see you later. And it wasn't quite like that, but yes. We had those conversations of, please stop shaking hands and please do the elbow rub and please make sure. And nobody was talking about wearing a mask at that point.
No.
And next thing you know, the world changed. And we don't have to dive into all of that stuff, but I wanted to talk about the future here, because as we are coming back, as things are lighting up a little bit, as tech coaches are starting to go through the tech coachy motions of working with teachers, maybe for the first time this year in classrooms, I really want to look at the positives here, right? Because we have teachers that are coming back for the first time. That is both positive and, unfortunately, there are some negatives. So let's look at the positives. What are some of the good things that we can be thinking about as tech coaches are starting to work with teachers, working with teachers in schools for the first time, helping out? What have we learned in the last year that we can take, harness, and move forward, Sue?
Well, I think, and I don't know about your experience, and I feel like we can probably compare and contrast here. I think teachers have come into just a new realm of believing in themselves a little bit when it comes to technology, that they have learned that they don't have to do or be what they've always been and do what they've always done. And that's okay. They can think outside the box, and that will actually be good for students. So many of my teachers have so much more confidence in themselves now, a year later, than they did a year ago. So that confidence is there.
I hear you, but I'm upset with that answer for one reason. You said think outside of the box. And my fear, and what I'm hearing other tech coaches say, is now that the teachers are back in the classroom, that box now exists again. So yes, we do have teachers that are used to thinking outside of the box, but they just walk back into the box. I know with my teachers in our district, we have not left. Like, even though obviously we took off last year, but since September, whatever, we've been on, even though we've had buildings, wings, buses, teachers, grade levels out. We haven't stopped moving. I'm very proud of our school district. But the point is, teachers that have been timid of technology, afraid of technology, unsure of technology, are now walking back into their classrooms. And I'm afraid of these situations where that copy machine is going to get turned back on again. We shouldn't be moving backwards, if that's the right term.
So how are you going to go into your school that you're assigned to and keep that fire lit and keep them from jumping back in the box, per se?
I'm going to be working with my teachers to help them continue the lessons that we've had. I'm going to try to get into more of their meetings, because now their meetings are physical or virtual, physically virtual, right? Mm-hmm. So that gives you more of an opportunity. You also know that you have a candid audience. It's not like, like, I know we talk about the kids a lot, but even our teachers, sometimes during meetings, they check out. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that these projects that we've been talking about get seen, get done, get moving, all that good stuff. I don't think tech coaches can take their foot off the gas at this point. No. We have a momentum. It's all here. Now, going back to the shows that we've been doing on Coaching Matters, we know that by reading chapters 1 to 4, a good coaching program is all about how the administrator sets things up. And I believe that as teachers are coming back, as school districts are going back online, and as kids are coming into classrooms, it is that time for the principals to step up isn't the right word, but let's say set some standards, right?
Yes.
This is where you can say to your teachers, guys, you've done this for the last 12 months. I'm expecting that it's here, whether you're physically, hybrid, virtual, whatever. Keep going in this direction. Use your coaches, set up those times, bring your coaches in for those team and one-to-one conversations. This is the time where the principals and district administration should really set that bar and say, this is the new standard for what we want to see in our classrooms.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this talk as tech coaches and educators for years of changing the face of education and getting ourselves out there and differentiating instruction for students. So now's the time to actually make that happen, that more and more schools, more and more students are coming back to the classroom physically. Changing the world of education, there's no better time to do it than now that we've been talking about it for so many years. Time for a fresh start and to keep that motivation going.
We always talk about on this show the role of the tech coach and building your tech coach brand. We've done a lot of shows on the newsletter concept of how a newsletter can't just be this Tuesday thing. There's got to be a method to it, a plan to it, all those different things. I think it's time for tech coaches now also to step up and say, okay, I can't just make a newsletter. I got to make a newsletter that does hit where these teachers are and motivates them to not go over to that copy center, to not dare to go down to that main office and ask for that extra ream of paper, and really helps out with the planning things. I think now more than ever, tech coaches and planning really do need to go hand in hand with everything.
Absolutely. And I've been fortunate to have had a little bit of head start than some of you out there. We've been face to face for all but 3 weeks of this year. So, we got to start out the year in the end of August with that momentum going. And we've had some awesome PD throughout the year on our different PD days, just to keep that fire lit under them. And with all of the new things coming out with various programs, Google is, upping their game in various ways. I mean, we talked about Wakelet, Padlet, Google Keep last week, how they're upping their game, Flipgrid, all of those tools, and just Jamboard. Keeping up on all of those things and getting them in front of my teachers' faces have been huge for me, and motivating them to try these tools and engage their students and not be down at the copy machine like we keep saying.
But is that the answer? Because I can see a teacher who's been timid, is now coming back into school, now has to learn how to teach in a different environment, because let's face it, there's many teachers out there that have been completely at home doing their thing. And now it's March. They now have to learn for the first time how to teach in a hybrid environment. Can a tech coach really go in with Flipgrid, Wakelet, Jamboard, Zoom, or does the tech coach still need to have great relationships and meet the teachers where they are?
Oh, definitely meet the teachers where they are. That's, again, where you need to have that administrator support and that administrator saying, hey, Miss So-and-so, get with Susan, get with Jeff, and let him plan your unit with you to keep those lessons going, keep that momentum going, because a teacher is just like a student. They're not going to learn what to do and how to do it unless you cycle them through and show them exactly what they're doing. How are you handling this with your teachers? Are you hearing these concerns in your schools?
I'm hearing these concerns all across my district. Again, my teachers have been hybrid all year, but it changes every day. There could be a day where you're in class and you have half of your kids, right? Half the kids are at home.
Right.
You could be in a situation where you have A-day kids and B-day kids. But then again, tomorrow, you might get that call from your principal that says, Sue, you need to stay home for the next 2 weeks. And then what do? You might be the teacher that's home, but your kids are all in virtual. You might be the teacher at home and your kids are in school and having a sub, because you might happen to have been in the wrong spot at the wrong time. There's many, many combinations to the insanity that is public education right now. And it's not going away, even though things are coming back online. Parents don't have to send the kids back right now. We're not done with this in any stretch.
Right.
And they're not even looking at, I mean, my own kids are in first grade. They're looking at maybe sometime in the middle of the fall being able to be doing vaccinations at whatever, dosage and stuff like that for some of these places. So, I know we keep saying next year, but we're still in the very middle of a long haul here, aren't we?
Very much. It's just going to be slow moving. It's so nice to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but it's still going to be slow. And as coaches, as teachers, we have to find what's going to work for us in our situations. And each of us out there coaching these teachers are in a different environment. And like Jeff just said, in a different environment every day of the school year. So it's just very much flexibility is important, and openness to learn and openness to change. And we as a tech coach need to model that. And, we hope that the administrators are modeling that in front of the teachers too.
Certainly do. And modeling is what it's all about. And if you are a district administrator, I think this stuff that we're speaking about even rings more truer now. Many school districts are made of buildings. Some school districts are a building, right? But, if you're a district that has many, many buildings and many, many principals, it is really now the time for that district to set the bar. What is the benchmark for learning in all of our schools? Because I think when you leave it up to the principals, some might do it, some might not, some might get it, some might not, some might know the differences, some might not. But when a district sets up and sets that stage and sets that bar, that even becomes much more powerful for things. So let's take a look here as we go through here. You mentioned some of the tools. Last week, we had a fantastic ed tech debate on Wakelet, Padlet, and Google Keep. So
who won that race?
Who won that? Was that my application? Who was that?
I think the trusty co-host here won that race.
That's right. You're right. Wakelet, right?
Wakelet.
I have been using Wakelet for the last couple of days. I think I'm up to 15 followers. And, just the act of using technology in a very simple form. I need to keep something. I'm going to use this curation tool. For many coaches, for many teachers coming back, something like a Wakelet can be a good first start for coaches.
Oh, definitely. Just to keep those resources, those training materials on various topics, as a coach, divided into topics, coaching cycle, Miss Jones, coaching cycle, Mr. Smith, and different collections for those tools. Just like you would a physical folder back in the day. Keep those in Wakelet so you can keep yourself organized, and all of the different tools and training tips and ideas that go under that can be kept together and organized.
What are some of your favorite things to do with teachers? I know for myself, I still love the traditional ones. Google Slides is a biggie for me. I recently had a teacher come up to me and say, I want to learn how to write a book. I said, great, we're going to take out a Google Slide. I had an assistant principal come up and say, we're going to make a lookbook. I said, great, we're going to use a Google Slide. I had somebody come up and say, we want to do some animal habitat lessons in first grade. I said, great, we're going to use a Google Slide. What's your go-to?
For me, the last several years, our teachers are big, our 4th and 5th grade especially, and I kind of have a little bit of an elementary focus. They do little book clubs, kind of like their reading groups, but they're book clubs. So I love teaching the teacher and the kids how to use Screencastify, and just to be able to do that book talk via video and have them be able to post that video in different places. So that's just one of my big passions. And then, of course, another one of my favorite things to do with teachers and classrooms is Breakout EDU. That's just, one of my huge extra little fun things to do with them.
Now, what does Breakout EDU mean to you? Does that mean actually going to the website and grabbing something, or do you start from scratch with teachers? Or, I mean, I've never been a big user of the website, but I've always just made my own through like Google Sites and Forms.
Well, I'm totally the opposite. I'm not the best creative from scratch type. So, but if I can go and grab something on, whatever concept and put it together and help them learn how to get that put together, teach them how to program the locks and get that physical box together for them. And just then to be able to watch the students work together to solve those clues. That's just so neat to watch.
We would love to hear from you guys. Obviously, we've got a lot on our minds here. We've got COVID, we got PD, we've got students coming in, we've got teachers, and we have a lot of great conversations coming to you for the next couple of weeks. We're going to be diving back into our Coaching Matters book soon. Our next chapter is called Coaching Champions. And really, Sue, I was thinking about that chapter going, that really is what we need. We need to make sure that our coaching champions are championing coaches. Right. Yes. Get those coaches back into the classrooms, get those relationships moving. You have coaching champions. We've talked about all of that stuff before. I know we're going to talk about this next show and all, but is it possible in the time where we're all getting back into the classrooms that is it possible for coaches to be teaching their coaches champions how to be coaches champions?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a little harder. We talked about in the last few episodes how it's harder to get into the physical classroom nowadays. But right now with, you can only spend 14 minutes or something. But, the possibilities are there. We have video, we have Zoom, we have Google Meet, whatever. So, those opportunities are there. You just have to find them and take advantage of them and, find the right thing that's going to motivate that teacher as you move forward. What about you, Jeff?
I think that a coaching champion can be created. I don't think everybody, unfortunately, can be created into a coaching champion. There's sometimes when you work with the principal, they just don't get it. It's the don't tell me how to do things. Mm-hmm. And for those coaches, that's why we have things like our Tech Coaches Network that is absolutely free. You can have over 300 coaches up by your side, and you can learn all about that and sign up over at teachercast.net/TCN form. For Tech Coach Network, teachercast.net/TCN form. We, of course, are going to be keeping up with our weekly Tech Coach Roundtables every single Wednesday at 8:30. It's an awesome opportunity, guys. Hope you guys have an opportunity to do that. So as we wrap up today, let's do one piece of information, one piece of advice. If you were to look at a tech coach saying, hey, I know your school is opening up. Here's 1, 2, 3, whatever things that you should be looking at doing, working on, etc. What would some of those things be, or what would that one thing be that you would want to tell a tech coach?
Be flexible. Roll with it from day to day. Things are going to change. Protocols are going to change. So just be flexible and create those relationships. What would be your best advice?
I would say take this time to take a deep breath and know that whether you're in school now, coming back into school, hybrid, that you're going to be needed. You're going to be needed in this district. Even for myself, we're planning right now what is not spring break. What is new teacher orientation going to look like in August? Right now we're literally, I'm building new teacher orientation for August. That new teachers, when there's 200 new teachers coming into your district, they need to know this classroom, Teams, Padlet, whatever that stuff is, that's got to look different than it did last summer. And so that your job is more important now than ever it has been, and you can do this. And I think the also important thing, too, that we can show you guys is you are not alone out there. Even our Tech Coaches Network has over 300 tech coaches, all there helping everybody out. There's, of course, ISTE Networks. There's one great one for FETC. You can follow the hashtag TechCoachEDU. The Google Educator groups are starting up, not really starting up, but are expanding. We're starting one right now, Google Educator Group New England, which even if you don't live in the Northeast, anybody can join. We're going to be doing a lot of things with coaches. So look for all of these great things. Hashtag Ask the Tech Coach, hashtag TechCoachEDU is where we're going to be posting all this stuff. Just know that there is a purpose for you. Know that you are not alone in this. and know that we are always here to help you guys out, whether it be on a podcast over at AskTheTechCoach.com. We're doing Clubhouse EDU right now on Clubhouse, and there's a lot of great stuff out there, Sue.
Absolutely.
Herd mentality you keep seeing on the news, but for us it really is get together, form a group, and it is safety in numbers and strength in numbers. So if you guys do anything right now, please share these episodes with your friends, with your colleagues, and your coworkers. Would love to have you guys help us out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your Apple iTunes, your Google Podcasts, anywhere you are. We are here to help you guys out. And Sue, I know there's some great stuff happening over at Tech Imaginations.
There is. New Tech Tip Tuesday is out this week. I talk about printing to PDF on those times when you need to pull out certain pages from a PDF document for your own reference or share with your students. So go take a look at that, techimaginations.net.
I love how we just spent an entire episode trying to get our coaches to help our teachers not to run to the copier. And this week, you're still talking about printing to PDFs. I love that because anything is possible. That is awesome. That's absolutely awesome. And of course, don't forget to check out all the great stuff over on TeacherCast. You know, we're doing this every single Monday. The Jeff Bradbury Show, helping you guys build your EDU brand, is good. And don't forget, guys, check out our Twitter feed, because this Saturday is my keynote over at the MeTech Conference at 9:30 Eastern. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. We're going to talk about so many great things. You're going to want to check that out on Saturday morning, March the 20th. So on behalf of Sue and myself and everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you guys to keep up the great work in your classroom and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.